Salud and welcome to the Godfather Minute. I'm Alex Robinson.
And I'm Andy Robinson.
And together we are the Godfather Minute Brothers. Today we are going to be discussing Minute 90. Minute 90, at long last, it's here.
It's getting hot in here, Alex.
It
90.
is. I'm going to take off all my clothes.
Whoa! I almost choked when I said that.
Like McCluskey. I think you're doing your McCluskey impression.
Is that what he's saying when he's choking?
He's trying to call Zaza in. Zaza's out in the car. He's like,
Zaza's just a kid at the time.
That's true, yeah. That's how you're in his bones. Well, do you want to, should I go over what happens in the minute, or you want to give me my Italian lesson first?
Let's start with the Italian lesson.
Okay.
Alex, minuto.
E minuto,
Numero. Want to take a guess?
Nuevo.
No, you're close. 90.
90. As in, I 90 say goodbye to McCluskey.
Yeah. For 90. For 90. Well, this is an historic minute. Is it an historic minute?
That's the proper way to say it, yeah. And historic.
An historic minute. Mm-hmm. So why don't you lay the summary on us, Alex?
Well, minute 90, the Turk continues to negotiate with Michael in Italian until his words are drowned out by the passing train. Mm-hmm. Mikey stands up and shoots the Turk in the forehead. Boom! Bada bing! He gets blood all over his nice Ivy League suit. And then he turns to a stunned Matt McCluskey and shoots him in the throat. McCluskey gazes at him in stunned silence. Or not silence, like a stunned gurgling. Mm-hmm. And then Mikey shoots him in the forehead. McCluskey falls down the table. And then Mikey starts to leave, drops the gun, and jumps into a moving getaway car.
And he's out of there. So it's funny when you were relaying that summary and you said he shoots a lot. So I don't know if you heard, I went, pa! Like a sound of a gun. And then I realized when he shoots McCluskey twice, that's pa, pa!
I think that was foreshadowing. That was he knew how it was going to end.
Is that what Fredo's saying way back in the scene where his father gets shot? He's actually it's like a PTSD response. He's like pa 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 pa.
I like it. She cuts to him like in a straitjacket. He's like pa pa. He's a straitjacket in Las Vegas. He's wearing the sunglasses.
Yeah, he's all tied up on a straitjacket. Waitresses couldn't get a drink. His straitjacket, of course, would be a Disney theme, like Mickey Mouse. It's like a kid's straitjacket
because of the nightclub.
Yeah, it's like a child's.
I think even it would be like Las Vegas, like it would have all like or it would be like one of the plaid suit he's wearing in Tahoe and GF2. So
wow, where do we start?
Well, I'm dying to. This is the moment we've been counting down to for how long has it been that we've been counting down to shooting the Turk?
Oh gosh, that's the one mathematical. I did every other mathematical calculation today, including the speed of the bullet leaving the gun and hitting McCluskey. How it's slowed down by the veal in his throat.
I saw you doing it. I thought you were doing some kind of like forensics testing and stuff. You had those mannequins set up with the veal mannequins.
I don't know. I'd have to look back and see when was the last. Oh, it was the cannoli countdown.
The cannoli countdown,
which was maybe I'll re-edit it and drop it in.
Yeah. So just to let everyone know, even though the Shoot the Turk countdown is now complete, it is fiend.
It is done.
We are not going to debut the next countdown. You'll debut in the bonus content first.
In today's bonus
content. So that'll be exciting.
And Alex, let me tell you, I am really excited to present it to you. And for the listeners,
bring my earbuds so I can listen to the.
Alex hasn't heard it, and I haven't said anything about it. Genre, content, right?
I just know it's like a George Glass. That's what his name is.
Who's George Glass?
He's that composer who does Philip Glass. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, Philip Glass.
Who's George? George
is from the Brady Bunch.
George Glass is Jan's fake boyfriend.
Jan's fictional boyfriend.
Yeah, you know, George Glass, the composer. I'm totally friends with him.
Hey, in pop culture, has that name taken on the meaning of any time you don't know who someone is, you just make it up? It should.
It is. Let's start that. Let's get that.
Hey, Mikey, I don't have a relationship with this George Glass.
No, I don't know them.
Fredo's the only one who speaks with an honest heart about George Glass. He's really like, I don't know him, because no one does.
It's ironic that you would say that, 'cause that's the one line where he's lying to Mikey about. So anyway, we will not be discussing what the next countdown will be.
That's right.
Or not be debuting it, but
for our listeners, it's not a bad time to start to access the bonus content, because you are not going to want to miss the. Should I give the name of the countdown?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Won't even say the name. And probably today or maybe next week, we will put the Shoot the Turk countdown on our Patreon page for the Patreon, for the supporters.
The single version.
The single version, yeah.
And this will be the last time. I know people hate it when we plug the bonus content, but don't forget, if you sign up for the bonus content now, you can listen to all the episodes and the bonus content. You know what I mean? You give access to every bonus content we've done, which is now probably about like 80 episodes worth of bonus content.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of bonus content in there. What Alex is trying to say is, it's an offer you can't refuse.
So this minute starts off with basically 30 seconds of just a close-up of Al Pacino.
It's fantastic.
And also, I looked, and including the close-up that ended last week's minute, minute 89, it's a total of 45 seconds close-up. Wow. Almost a whole minute that is just a close-up of Mikey's face.
And it does zoom in a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
it's slow.
It's kind of, you see his torso and face, and the first 20 seconds of this minute, or 40, did you say?
It's total 45 seconds.
Okay, so then the first chunk of this one, it's zooming up to his face, and then the camera just sits on his face.
Yeah.
Alex, I have a whole segment prepared for this, just talking about the filmmaking of this.
All right, let's hear it.
It is a masterpiece. I don't know about you. I've seen this minute dozens of times through watching the movie and through the podcast. You feel the tension.
You do.
With the sound of the train coming by, and Mikey's eyes start sort of flickering left and right, and you don't even really hear the Turk anymore.
Yeah, it just kind of fades away behind the
you just
the
feel
train
the
sound.
blood pumping, and and you're wondering, wow, is he going to do? You know he's going to do it because we've seen the movie before, but it's fast. It's fantastic filmmaking.
Now, do you say it's great filmmaking, or do you think it's great acting on Pacino's part? The fact that it's just basically a close up of his face, and you see the. I mean, obviously there is filmmaking, the sound and everything, but I think it's also a testament to his acting that you can basically just have a one close up, and it's a riveting.
I would agree with you, Alex, except that what folks don't know is that it's not Al Pacino; it's a stunt double, even during that shot.
Wow, that is good filmmaking. Because I thought that was him the whole time.
That was Robert Duvall in makeup.
Yeah, so great.
Yeah, so all jokes aside, I agree with you. Al Pacino does a fantastic job too. It's everything. It's the sound, it's the direction, it's the writing, the blocking, everything about it. Yeah,
I was just actually watching a thing on YouTube specifically talking about the editing in this scene.
Oh, that's
how it goes from like early, I guess more last minute than this one, but it was like, it would show like really intense close-ups of the Turk, and then like it would be the Turk talking for a long time, and then there'd be a quick cut to Mikey's face, and then the Turk talking. The rhythm of the editing is really good. It increases the tension too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed this. I'm really attuned to the sound too, and the music and all. There's no music, but as the subway's getting louder, and right at the
Leon's
end
getting
of that,
larger.
The subway's getting louder.
It's getting louder, Sonny.
The subway might not even pull up to that station at the point when Mikey's going to shoot him. Did you ever think about that, Sonny? All right, well, what do we do then? So right before Mikey stands up and does the deed, as they say in the mafia business, the the subway starts screeching. It's not screeching until right before.
Right. Yeah.
And then
yeah.
right when he stands up, the subway there's no sound at all of the subway anymore. As soon as he stands up.
Oh, really? I did not notice that.
I noticed
it.
it.
That's interesting.
And then when he starts shooting, the sound of the gun, so you get this loud buildup, this crescendo of subway, and then silence, and then boom, boom. It's such a stark, it's such a stark contrast to that loud subway sound.
Yeah.
I guess the buildup and then the staccato, pop, pop.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Great audio mixing. I wish I knew the guy's name.
That video I just was talking about on YouTube also said that the shooting is kind of foreshadowed by when the guy takes the cork out, because like in that scene it's just totally silent, and then you just, the cork pops out, and it's so loud that it's like it's kind of like telegraphing what's going to happen. In the later scenes. So
very cool. I bet Sollozzo wished he had those 4 minutes back when he was waiting for the wine bottle to be open.
I wish he'd taken longer now.
I know, that's his last thought. He's going, I wish I enjoyed. That's my Hagen, sorry. How does Sollozzo sound?
Dear Hagen.
All right.
Dear Hagen imitating Sollozzo.
I wish I enjoyed those minutes while the waiter was opening the bottle more, Mikey.
It sounds like he's like on a departing train or something. Mikey.
I think he is on that subway going by. He's like, remember 2 shots each, Mikey. Because each main character has to remind him of the instructions.
Every time he like goes around a corner, there's like Clemenza like pops his head out of the toilet tank. He's like, don't forget, kid, 2 shots.
There's a piece of paper written on the specials menu inside Mikey's menu.
The waiter is Tessio. I don't know why Mikey has to do it if everyone else is already in the restaurant.
Tessio with a wig.
Oh, here's your meal, boys.
Well, that's why it took him 4 minutes, because he knew Clemenza was in the bathroom writing more instructions, reminders. Sorry, Mr. Sollozzo. I just can't seem to open this bottle of wine.
So I looked up on the internet about what it's like to get shot in the head.
Oh. And hey, before you do that, one other thing I have to comment on about the filmmaking.
That's what we're here for.
It is fantastic. So when Mikey stands up, the camera shot is of Sollozzo, but Al Pacino walks in front of the camera. And so for that shot, the camera is completely blacked out. And then you see Sollozzo again appear. And then Mikey shoots him.
Yeah.
And it sort of defies all logical filmmaking and shooting, because why would you have someone walk right in front of the camera? Why wouldn't you just show him stand up and shoot it? And it's brilliant. It's fantastic. Go back and watch it, Alex.
Well, I will.
It's amazing.
Actually, it's funny because I watched that bit a lot of times because I was trying to figure out how exactly they did the shot on McCluskey's head, on the Turk's head.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
At first, I thought that they used him blocking the camera. I thought, once he's out of the way of the camera, then the thing would already, like, they kind of stopped it, put the stuff on his head.
Yeah.
But they didn't. Because there's like a second where you could see the Turk looking up. Mikey's already past the camera and the thing is not there. So I don't know how.
Did you ever find out?
I tried finding on the internet and I couldn't. I'm sure it's like the simplest technique or something. But like you can't see anything underneath, you don't see like a squib underneath his hair or anything, or on his forehead. So
you think it's like backwards footage or anything?
But even then, how would they?
Yeah,
that still wouldn't. Then they have to, how would you get rid of the blood thing? So
well, you'd pull it off. It would start on there, and it would like yank it off.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. You'd think that'd be so noticeable, because then in that same shot, he starts to lean. He starts to fall back.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how they'd be able to pull that off and make it look real backwards.
Yeah. So I don't know how they did it. I apologize to the listeners.
Maybe they really shot him.
I think this was his last role, actually. Unfortunately, this was the first scene they shot in the movie. So they're like, now what are we going to do? They had to have Al, what's his name?
Alan Neary.
Alan Neary's brother fell into play. Luckily, he had a twin brother, the Turk.
Yeah. So not only, so the rest of the movie was actually a documentary. Al Pacino himself had to flee to Sicily, and it was Marlon Brando meeting with all his cousins. I gotta clear this actor, our main actor, of all these false charges. But I'm a superstitious man.
I did read that they had to film this a couple of times though, so they had to like clean up all the blood and just reset everything. And all that
the
stuff
blood.
like
we haven't even talked about the blood yet, too.
Yes.
Well, go ahead. I interrupted you rudely.
No, it's all right. Well, one thing that's interesting about the blood is, and maybe you'll have some more information about this. I think the book specifically mentions. Do you have stuff from the book about it?
I do have a passage from the book. I'll read it later on.
Okay.
But what were you going to say about the blood?
Well, I was going to say the book specifically mentions a misty cloud goes behind, and so in the notes, Francis Ford Coppola like highlighted that, so he wanted to.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like too. You
Yeah.
see it right behind it,
Yeah.
and of course the waiter. Did you notice the waiter?
He gets blood all over his nice Ivy League suit. It's really interesting watching the people in the background how they react to the shooting because. I'm like they seem like they're kind of just staring for a while.
Yeah, the woman right behind.
She barely reacts to what's going on, and on the one hand, I'm like, well, that seems like it would be like you would be instantly like, oh my god, what's going on? But I could also see it being like you wouldn't even know what you were seeing for a second.
Just completely unreal.
Yeah, like you wouldn't, So that almost seems more realistic because you think as extras, they'd be like, okay, as soon as he shoots him, I'm just going to stand up and scream and run away.
Yeah.
But the fact that they all just kind of like, the waiter's just kind of like, oh, like staring.
Yeah. And even afterward, even once a few seconds later, they all just are kind of moving slowly away. They don't go running for cover.
There's that one guy who gets up and kind of like covers his face.
Yeah.
Because I guess he doesn't want to be recognized by Al Pacino, by Mikey.
I think it's great imagining the waiter gets sprayed with blood, and similar to the scene earlier with Sonny and Mikey, you can imagine the waiter's brother like a year earlier is like, you're gonna get a job in an Italian restaurant in the Bronx. Oh, you think it's that easy? You get someone comes in, gets shot, boom, you get blood all over your waiter.
Serving pasta to a guy 50 feet away? No, you're gonna get a you're gonna say the pepper.
Where does it say you can't serve wine and take 4 minutes to open the bottle? I mean, come on.
I bet the food critics, they might be interested in a story like that.
They might.
So getting shot in the head.
Yeah. So what's it like getting shot in the head?
Well, so I read a couple of different articles on the internet. So caveat emptor, who knows how much of this is actually accurate or not. But so the consensus seems to be that if you're shot in the head, if you're shot in the heart, you probably have about 10 or 15 seconds before you'll lose consciousness because that's how long it'll take the blood. That's basically once the blood stops going to your brain, that's when you lose consciousness.
Yeah,
so if it hits the heart, then it just stops pumping and you have like 10 seconds to be like, oh my God, what's going on or whatever.
Yeah, wow.
But if you get shot in the brain, you won't really feel anything. You know what I mean?
All deals are off.
Yeah, by the time it's halfway, by the time it's ripping its way through your brain, you won't even know what's going on until it's like, out of your head or whatever.
So you're completely unconscious right away? Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily, but like, because I read an interview with a guy who was shot in the head and he talked about what it was like. And he said he got, someone tried to kill him mob style.
Oh, wow.
And so he said he got shot in the head and he just said he heard like a loud, almost like your ears ringing, but inside of his whole head.
Oh boy.
And he said he went to someone who was standing there and was like, oh, help me. And it was the guy who actually shot him.
Oh.
But he did because he didn't realize what was going on. As he was just sitting there, all of a sudden he just had this intense feeling. And then, he didn't even realize that was the guy who shot him. So,
and he lived.
Yeah, he survived.
That's crazy considering the guy who shot him was still right there and saw that he was still alive.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he only had one bullet or something. Yeah. One shot, he's still alive.
Yeah, that guy's capo regime. It said, make sure one bullet. One bullet in the head, then go drop the gun.
Yeah. What do you think, we're made of bullets? Just use one. That should be enough.
No, it actually was Clemenza who was there in that earlier time with the situation you're describing. And he's so stunned by it. He's like, oh, I should have told him 2 bullets. And that's why they keep reminding Mikey, remember, 2 shots.
So when they do the prequel to The Godfather and they have to explain why he said specifically 2 shots, everything has to be explained.
That's a perfect prequel plant.
And then they show another scene. And this is almost turning into a bonus content thing of what other things would be in the prequel that would explain someone's behavior later on. Like maybe show Sonny on his first hit and he gets blood all over his suit. He's like, oh man, look at my suit.
Yeah. And maybe Fredo when he's a little kid and he's got, I don't know, whooping cough and he's just crying the whole time. The only thing that stops him from crying is a little Mickey Mouse doll. Oh. And so his parents, everyone all his life is always kind of exposing him to Disney stuff and he's just sick of it. Yeah. But the sad thing is it's still the only thing that works. Even though he hates it. He knows
keeps getting stepped over. So apparently though, shooting someone in the forehead, you have a much better chance of surviving.
Okay.
Because then if you do it like on the side of their head.
Oh, why is that?
Because if you shoot them in the forehead, it might just go through one, your brain is divided into 2 halves.
Okay.
So if it just goes through one half of your brain, then theoretically the other half can kind of carry the load and you can recover from it. Because you basically have to relearn how to do all the things that were done on that part of the brain. But so keep that in mind when you're going to shoot
shooting on the side, on the temple, that goes through both halves. Both halves. Yeah. I almost said loaves, but I was thinking lobes.
Lobes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's all.
Not loaves.
Loaves. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I guess Clemenza didn't know that. I guess 2 shots if you're going to do 2.
Yeah, although he only shoots the Turk once, though, right?
And there's a little bit about that in the book.
Oh, interesting.
We'll get to that. The other cool filmmaking part of this I thought was, we haven't talked about McCluskey really, but when he ends up landing on the table and flipping it. Yeah. I just think that's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And that iconic scene at the end where they're both laying there dead and the table is flipped up. In the
screenplay, it says, after Mikey leaves, they just show them there. It says they're sitting there on like a tableau made of like they're wax figures in like they're almost like placed there like a kind of scene or whatever. So, I would love to go to a Godfather wax museum.
Oh yes,
maybe we should start one.
Hey, if anyone's going to,
yeah, it's true.
If there's any listeners out there that are good with wax, let us know.
Not WHACKS, not those kind of wax.
How do you start a wax museum, Alex?
You need a lot of bees.
There are a lot of ears.
A lot of ears?
Yeah, earwax.
I should have known that one. I don't know. I always wondered about that. If you get... Because, like Madame Tussauds, they have like wax model makers who work specifically for them. But if you work at if you own like a small, cheap wax museum, do you just get like hand-me-downs, or is there a catalog you go through to find art, figures?
I don't know. I get the impression they're all relics of the past, unless they're the mainstream. Madame Tussauds.
Definitely feels like an old-fashioned thing.
That's why they're great.
Yeah, I always go to every wax museum when I get a chance. So
maybe that could be one of our bonus contents too. If we had or the Godfather wax museum, what would the poses be? What would it be dressed in?
Scenes? Yeah. So we see the bullet. Obviously the bullet goes through the Turk's head because the blood goes spraying around. Yeah. But surprisingly, it could have been worse, because if you get shot in the head with part of the reason getting shot in the head is so bad is because when a bullet goes into you, it aside from just ripping the actual stuff that it hits, it sends kind of like shock waves that go out from like the energy that was driving the bullet forward just kind of ripples out through the thing. So the problem with getting shot in the brain is your brain is in a is in like a case, obviously your skull.
Yeah.
So those ripples have nowhere to go except keep
man.
rippling, like bouncing your brain around, back and
man.
forward, which
Yeah.
obviously makes more damage.
Yeah.
And if it's a small enough bullet, it won't go through the back of the brain. It won't go through the back of the skull. It would just bounce around inside the skull.
It'll bounce around
because it wouldn't have enough force to get through the back of the skull, so it would just bounce
man.
backwards. And so that would really
That sounds like a terrible recipe.
or like
sounds like-
at least it's getting the job done, and you're like,
Yeah, it depends who you are.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
Sounds like a terrible recipe for a really bad hangover the next morning, Alex. Yeah, I'm sleeping in. Okay.
Yeah, so that's all I have on what it's like to get shot in the head.
Can we talk about McCluskey?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is it. I realize this is a key minute for so many reasons. It's a turning point in the story, obviously, but also because it's the last time we're going to see McCluskey and Sollozzo.
Oh, I know, they were two great characters.
Yeah, fantastic ones.
McCluskey, he burned. He didn't burn a long time, but he burned bright. That's for sure. I guess he's like the same thing with Waltz. Waltz is only in really 2 scenes,
That's true. Yeah.
but so I guess you know,
Waltz at least is alive.
still alive. One horse and he's still alive. So McCluskey.
So, what do you think about Mikey shoots Sollozzo and then it shows McCluskey? That is the greatest shot of McCluskey. He's got the veal on the fork.
Yeah,
he's holding it up.
Yeah.
And he's looking up at Mikey and he's got this really interesting expression on his face.
Yeah.
Puzo writes about it in the book, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. To me, it looked like a mix of sort of like disappointment or shock.
Disappointment that he's not going to get to finish his veal.
Know. Yeah, he's thinking, "Oh, Sollozzo said this is the best in the city. I only got 5 bites. 5 bites."
I bet he got it and then was like, "Oh, this veal looks good. You know what? I'm just gonna eat the vegetables first and save the veal for last. So that way I have something to look forward to." He was about to eat the first piece of veal, and he was like,
Well,
the reason why he fell on the table, he's trying to make a last minute like grasp for the veal. So,
just his head,
yeah,
right?
to put his face in the plate.
Well, that's how I want to go. For my face on a plate of the best veal in the city.
Now, as I recall, last week you were saying you were against veal.
I am. I know. It's true. But you know what? If I'm gonna go and the veal's already cooked,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you're specifically asking for veal. It's just like if you're there already, it's your last chance.
So he just looks like a terrified child, and I guess because he's not wearing his captain's uniform too. He's plain clothes. His hair is all combed, like brushed neatly. He's like this guy out to dinner. You almost feel a little sad for him.
Well, it's funny because that first time you see McCluskey, he's like a total dick.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, stand him up," and punching him in the jaw and all that stuff.
But he's a
And-
war hero, kid. I don't care. I'm an asshole. Stand him up, pal.
But after that, all the scenes leading up to this, he's been a reasonable guy. "Oh, sorry, Mike. You got to do this." He pats him down and he's like, sorry about his jaw. And, he sits down to eat his veal. He's not giving anyone a hard time.
And when Sollozzo tries to frisk him again, remember, McCluskey's protecting Mike. He's like, "Yeah, I frisked him. You don't need to frisk him again. He's a good kid. I'm just
Hands
getting
off,
too
huh? I told you I frisked him.
Watch it, Turk. I frisked him. This is going to cost you extra."
So,
Yeah. Sorry, I think you're right.
And he doesn't mind if they speak English, speak Italian. He's like, "Oh, I don't know, it's fine with me. I'm a broad culture. I appreciate all cultures."
You appreciate a fine culture, don't you, Mark McCluskey? He even asked for a meal recommendation from
he's
someone
open,
outside of his culture.
Open-minded guy.
This is the 40s.
Yeah.
People usually stick to their fare, their
Yeah,
ethnic fare.
And I think also, like, when he gets shot, he still looks like he just can't believe what's happening.
Yeah. He says, "I'm getting too old for this job," which makes you think, "Oh, he's going to retire soon."
It's my last day. I mean, we know he gives to charity. He just keeps off the booze. Poor guy.
So it is just a great expression on his face.
I wish I was sailing.
So he gets shot in the throat, right? And then he starts clawing away at his throat.
Yeah.
And then Mikey shoots him again on the forehead.
In the forehead.
Yeah. Do you have any comments about that?
Well,
Research about it?
I didn't look up specifically what it was like to get shot in the throat. I imagine you can survive that a lot more than you can.
Yeah, probably.
Like getting shot in the head, in the brain, because pass through. Your voice might get messed up. But
the reason I asked you if you did more research is because I remember, boy, this is probably a year ago, Alex. You told me about a blooper in this scene, and I noticed it. And you haven't brought it up yet.
Is it the fact that McCluskey seems to have a hole in his forehead when he is shot in the throat? Yeah, that's it's weird.
Is there anything online or in the?
I haven't seen anything about it.
Nothing. Yeah, but it's very clear. It's from far away, so he gets shot in the throat, and you see him from far away clutching at his throat. But there's definitely a big mark on his forehead.
And then when it cuts to him in close up, the mark is not there on his forehead. So it's interesting.
Yeah. It's like they took another take, the footage from another take, and inserted it into that where maybe he had already been shot twice.
Right, but you think I guess maybe when he shot him in the head, it just went through one of the lobes that controlled his speech, which is why he can't. He's like,
maybe the mark on McCluskey's forehead was the bullet leaving Sollozzo.
Oh, wow.
Hey, he was in the army.
Yeah, so I guess it could like a ricochet from the back of the Turk's head, went out and then hit McCluskey.
Man. Oh, and then hit Lou outside, and that's why Lou doesn't make a move when Mikey leaves the restaurant.
Did you ever see the movie John F. Kennedy?
JFK?
Yeah, JFK.
Yeah.
The whole magic bullet thing.
Oh,
that's kind of
right,
that's the. I'm curious about that. Why that shot is in there.
Yeah, I would say we asked, we'll answer, but I'm not sure there's information out there about it.
There isn't a lot of, I was looking on the making of this whole scene, trying to find out about how they did the thing on the Turk's forehead, and nothing was coming up, other than just, it was all about the editing and the filmmaking aspect of it, not the practical effects or anything like that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Let's suppose they were to do a re-release The Godfather. Actually, didn't we talk about how it's going to be playing in theaters?
Yes. I don't know if we talked about it on air.
Okay.
Yeah, this fall, right?
Yeah. If they went in and digitally erased the blood on McCluskey's forehead, would you be for that or against it?
I think I'd be against it. I think it's such a wonderful movie, and with all its quirks and overdubs. I mean, where does it end? Do you want them to re-overdub I talked to Barzini?
That sounds like the audience does.
Yeah. So it's just a little bit more believable now.
Right. Warts and all.
Yeah, warts and all.
And also, I don't know if this is the kind of thing where, I don't know if I would have noticed it if we weren't doing minute by minute.
Yeah.
Because,
You mean I talked to Barzini?
No, I meant the bullet on the forehead bit, but that's...
Yeah.
So...
I'm not sure I would have to.
Yeah. So, so when I was playing it like in slow, like scrubbing through it very slowly, because something falls and lands on McCluskey's plate. Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe it was like blood or something, something, but it's his fork actually with the veal on it that he dropped, because he's holding the veal in his hand he's holding the fork in his hand with the veal on it, and then when he gets shot in the throat, he drops it on the
so after the first shot he drops it
he drops the veal and he starts clutching it
with both of his hands.
Yeah. So if you look, you can see that last bit of veal. I guess it all winds up on the floor, so it's not like
it is true.
What if that poor cow died for nothing?
If I were him, you're a goner. I would have, instead of dropping the fork and clutching my throat, which was useless, clearly, I would have just jammed that veal into the hole in my throat. Right? One last opportunity to taste the finest veal in the New York.
That's right. Well, but the irony is you wouldn't be able to taste it, because you taste things with your tongue, not your throat. Not your throat.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, that would have been a tragic irony. You're like, I never even got to taste it.
That's his last thought.
I thought you were shoving it in there to try to close up the hole with the veal.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
He gets to the hospital. The doctor's like, this veal saved your life.
I promise I'm going to eat veal every day for the rest of my life. Huh?
He orders it everywhere he goes, just in case someone attempts to murder him again.
Yeah. So
it's a PSA. Always order the meal, kids, because you never know. Stay off the booze and eat lots of veal.
His voice is already pretty gravelly, so I can imagine how he would have sounded like with a veal patch.
Veal patch. And one more thing about McCluskey
talk about it all day.
Sollozzo gets shot, and then it cuts to McCluskey staring up at Mikey. The other thing I thought he could have been thinking instead of, oh man, like, wow, I'm not going to get to eat the veal is, wow, and I frisked this kid. Like, how is this happening?
It's true. Is he like, what the? How did I get that gun?
I'm getting too old for this job. I missed it.
Mikey totally should have rubbed it in his face. Going, oh, we had it planted. So if you were Mikey, would you tell him it was planted, or would you say I had it on me all along and you just missed it? Because that would be even worse.
Yeah, I think I'd rub it in his face.
The gun.
Yeah.
The veal.
And then once I shot him once and he's clutching at his throat, I would say something like, if I were Mike, I'd say, finish your veal, Mark, or lay it down.
Lay it down.
Using his own language against him.
I love that shot where he's grabbing his throat and he's just like, you're not sure what he's gonna do, or if he's like, he's just kind of like.
It seems like just a human instinctual reaction.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fantastic.
And I love watching Al Pacino's face because he's just holding the gun, like looking at him, almost like, do I have to shoot him again? Because then he just falls forward and stuff like that. Yeah. But it's almost like, how many shots do I have to put into this guy?
Yeah,
and the Turk went down with one bullet.
Oh, it's so great. We did talk about the other people in the restaurant, and I noticed as the scene progresses, so the two characters are shot and are dead. It's the waiter who is backing up during that whole scene, backing up, and right before the scene cuts to outside, he sort of walks slowly into the bathroom. Did you notice that?
Is it the bathroom?
Yeah, because it's opposite. It's the opposite direction of where Mikey runs.
Oh, right, because Mikey runs towards the camera.
Yeah. And so the waiter's just kind of backing up, and then he slowly kind of turns into the bathroom. And it's so odd because he doesn't run in there. But again, I think it's going back to what you said. It's just these confused people trying to make sense of it.
Like in shock, yeah.
And instinctually just trying to move away and
get
cover, but not really sure how to do it.
Or I'm sure he was like, oh my gosh, my jacket is covered in blood. I better go wash it off because I'm going to get yelled at for ruining another jacket.
Yeah. Another jacket. Another question I had, Alex, is this murder or assassination?
I don't know. What's the difference exactly?
I don't know either.
Did they refer to
That's why I was asking.
In GF2, they refer back to this, right? Don't they say like, oh, in the murder of a New York police captain or something like that?
They say murder, yeah.
Do they say murder? They don't say the assassination of a...
I think they say murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. People with guns being stupid. Yeah, I think it's murder.
I don't know exactly what the difference is.
Because John Lennon was assassinated, right?
I don't know what the difference is.
We'll ask, we'll answer. I feel like we already did in the previous minute.
Did we?
Maybe, but I don't know. I can't think of one.
It sounds new to me.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll think about it.
Let me write that down so we don't forget. Assassination. I remember talking to someone once about John Lennon's murder, and I referred to it as assassination, and the person was like, "Assassination? Like it wasn't like that's only for political or whatever reasons." But
okay,
So anyway,
well, then is this a political reason?
We'll ask, we'll answer.
So I would like to read from parts of the book to compare the book to the movie, but do you have any other commentary before that?
The last thing I'll say is when Mikey drops the gun, he puts his hands up like over his head and kind of like drops the gun. And right when the gun hits the ground is when McCluskey's body like falls the last step. So I was wondering if the vibration of the gun hitting the like he was just balanced enough, and when he dropped the gun on the floor, it made him tip, like just knocked him off balance enough where it fell down there. So
and right when McCluskey's hand was landing on the floor, you can hear him gurgling, saying, "He's clean. He's clean.
He was clean. He was clean." That's the last thing I have about McCluskey.
Well, goodbye, funny man. We will miss you. Mark McCluskey, Virgil Sollozzo, we will miss you too.
He was a stand-up guy.
And Virgil Sollozzo, you were right. You were the hunted one.
And you weren't that clever.
So, shall I read from the book?
Yes, please do.
Okay, it's a few chunks, so I'll kind of break it down. Okay?
Chunks of veal?
Chunks of veal. Here we go. Page 90, page 150. Puzo writes, underneath the table, his right hand moved to the gun tucked into his waistband, and he drew it free. At that moment, the waiter came to take their order, and Sollozzo turned his head to speak to the waiter. So let's pause right there. Isn't that interesting? A little bit of a different succession of events.
In that universe, McCluskey never even got to have any of the meal.
Yeah.
Oh, man. The book Al Pacino is much more hardcore than the movie Al Pacino.
So is it better to have had the veal, tried it and died, or to never have had it at all?
It's better to have vealed and lost than never to have vealed at all.
Which is funny because didn't Frank Sinatra say that? Wasn't that a Frank Sinatra line? Isn't it better to have loved than to have never have loved? Better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all.
I think it's older than that.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. I always thought it was Frank Sinatra, which would have been great because of
the whole connection. Yeah.
Okay.
Will ask,
will answer. At that moment, the waiter came to take their order, and Sollozzo turned his head to speak to the waiter. Michael thrust the table away from him with his left hand, and his right hand shoved the gun almost against Sollozzo's head. The man's coordination, now this is the man, the Sollozzo. I'll just say Sollozzo. Sollozzo's coordination was so acute that he had already begun to fling himself away at Michael's motion. So very different action scene. But Michael, younger, his reflexes sharper, pulled the trigger. The bullet caught Sollozzo squarely between his eye and his ear.
Oh, so he gets shot in the head,
Of the head. He gets shot the right way. And when it exited on the other side, blasted out a huge gout of blood and skull fragments onto the petrified waiter's jacket.
Oh.
Instinctively, Michael knew that one bullet was enough.
Huh.
So interesting.
One is enough.
Maybe because he's a war hero, but he just knew that one was enough. Even though Clemenza's voice, he can hear, 2 shots, kid. Don't forget 2 shots, kid.
little Clemenza angel on his shoulder.
Yeah. Sollozzo had turned his head in that last moment. Oh, that's why he shot him in the side.
Because he was turning to look at the waiter.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Sollozzo had turned his head in that last moment, and he had seen the light of life die in the man's eyes as clearly as a candle goes out.
Oh,
so done. This is an interesting part. So here's the McCluskey bit, which is a little bit different. Only 1 second had gone by as Michael pivoted to bring the gun to bear on McCluskey. The police captain was staring at Sollozzo with phlegmatic surprise, as if this had nothing to do with him. He did not seem to be aware of his own danger. His veal-covered fork was suspended in his hand, and his eyes were just turning on Michael, and the expression on his face, in his eyes, held such confident outrage as if now he expected Michael to surrender or to run away, that Michael smiled at him as he pulled the trigger.
Oh, he's cold-hearted.
Isn't that interesting? But McCluskey's sort of still thinking, like, I'm safe. Like, this isn't going to happen to me.
So can I just do a sidebar for a second?
That's a good spot to pause.
So are we just to assume that McCluskey is also armed?
Oh, I bet, yeah.
So if he did not shoot McCluskey, theoretically McCluskey would have took out his gun and tried to shoot Mike.
That's my guess, yeah.
Yeah. At the very least for his own protection.
Yeah.
As even aside from saying, I'm here to protect the Turk, he's be concerned for his own life.
Yeah.
So even though no one's ever gunned down a New York City police captain.
I mean, it's made him cocky and careless. The fact that no one's ever gunned down a police captain before.
I think
because even in this moment, he doesn't believe he's in danger.
Yeah. He should have just been standing there with his hand, the gun up against Mikey's head the whole time, like as insurance. Sorry, Mikey, I got to do it further. Anyway, proceed.
Yeah, McCluskey has the gun pointed at Mikey the whole time, and Sollozzo's got his hand frisking Mikey the whole time. It's an awkward meeting.
Yeah,
can't be too safe though. No, he's the hunted one.
Yeah.
So Mikey pulls the trigger. This shot was bad, not mortal. It caught McCluskey in his thick, bull-like throat, and he started to choke loudly as if he had swallowed too large a bite of the veal.
Despite the fact that it was the finest in the city. No, the finest in the
finest in New York.
Right.
The best in the city.
And the greatest in the world.
I like it's all the knockoff T-shirts you can get when you go to New York. I like how Puzo keeps referencing the veal.
Yeah, I think he like owns veal stock. He's trying to make it appealing by connecting it with murder.
Puzo writes, then the air seemed to fill with a fine mist of sprayed blood as he coughed it out of his shattered lungs.
They didn't include that detail.
No. Yeah, that's right. He's just sort of clawing at his neck. You don't see the blood shooting out of McCluskey's neck. Very, very coolly, very deliberately, Michael fired the next shot through the top of his white-haired skull.
The top of it?
Yeah.
So like a nail gun, like he went over to him and like pulled it facing
from
down.
The top. Yeah. He's a carpenter too. The air seemed to be full of pink mist. Michael swung toward the man sitting against the wall. So remember in the book, Sollozzo,
there's a guard there.
There was a guard there.
Yeah.
The man had not made a move. He seemed paralyzed. Now he carefully showed his hands on top of the table and looked away. The waiter was staggering back toward the kitchen, an expression of horror on his face, staring at Michael in disbelief. He's wondering if he's still going to get a tip. Because he didn't have time to order. Sollozzo was still in his chair, the side of his body propped up by the table. McCluskey, his heavy body pulling downward, had fallen off his chair onto the floor. Michael let the gun slip out of his hand so that it bounced off his body and made no noise. He saw that neither the man against the wall nor the waiter had noticed him dropping the gun. He strode a few steps toward the door and opened it. Sollozzo's car was parked at the curb still, but there was no sign of the driver.
Lou?
Yeah, which is interesting. And I think in the movie, too, you don't see anyone. Maybe there is someone in there, but the Corleone's car pulls up very quickly and Mikey gets in it. I don't recall seeing anyone in the car. Lou must be on a smoke break.
Yeah.
Maybe he's working for some other...
He was
maybe he's on the Corleone's payroll.
He was working for Barzini. No, not for Barzini, for Tattaglia.
Tattaglia? Oh, so he's working as a pimp?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a little money on the side. Anyway, so
hey, I just remembered. I forgot to say when you said McCluskey eats all the vegetables first.
Yeah,
he saves the veal for last.
Everything with him is broccoli. Does broccoli go with veal? I don't even know.
Up here in the mountains, drinking, what's he drinking, Cheech? Broccoli cocktails. Broccoli with his veal.
George Glass.
George Glass. Okay, a little bit more. There's some cool information here. Let's see. Puzo writes, Michael turned left and around the corner. Headlights flashed on and a battered sedan pulled up to him, the door swinging open. He jumped in and the car roared away. He saw that it was Tessio at the wheel.
Whoa.
Yeah, his trim features hard as marble. Did you do the job on Sollozzo? Tessio asked. For that moment, Michael was struck by the idiom Tessio had used. It was always used in a sexual sense. Did you do the job on Sollozzo? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. To do the job on a woman meant seducing her. It was curious that Tessio used it now. Both of them, Michael said. Sure? Tessio asked. I saw their brains, Michael said. There was a change of clothes for Michael in the car. 20 minutes later, he was on an Italian freighter slated for Sicily.
Wow, 20 minutes later.
Yeah, 2 hours later, the freighter pulled out to sea, and from his cabin, Michael could see the lights of New York City burning like the fires of hell.
Whoa.
He felt an enormous sense of relief. He was out of it now. The feeling was familiar, and he remembered being taken off the beach of an island his Marine division had invaded. The battle had been still going on, but he had received a slight wound and was being ferried back to a hospital ship. He had felt the same overpowering relief that he felt now. All hell would break loose, but he wouldn't be there.
Interesting.
End scene. So a few key differences.
Yeah.
I'd never guessed it was Tessio in the car, but it kind of makes sense, right?
To me, that seems weird. Like, I would have assumed that the capo regimes don't do any of that kind of like pick someone up at the airport. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it seems like it should have been some, but I guess if
Because this is a street thing.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. I would have thought it would have been like Tessio's driver more so than Tessio himself.
I guess because of the seriousness of it.
Yeah.
Remember, Sonny said to Clemenza, make sure you get someone real good to plant that gun.
Yeah, and you certainly don't want to have to go back to Sonny and say, "Oh yeah, I sent someone else to pick him up because I was too big, it was too small of a job for me."
Yeah. Because I was playing pinochle with the negotiator.
Yeah, he was perfect. So an interesting back to the movie for a second. Al Pacino, you see him run out of the restaurant and the getaway car. So do you think the getaway car, they were just listening for gunshots? And then once they heard the gunshots, they knew like, okay, that's it.
Well, I think you see Mikey come out and then the car pulls up. Right?
But like the car had to be like on and idling and ready to, so like
half a block away.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
I wonder if that's where Lou was. They had actually hit him with a blackjack. Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
That would have been a good move.
Yeah, that would have, it's a smart move.
Hello, Lou.
So while they were filming it, they had a kind of a close up of Al Pacino jumping on the running board of the car as it was passing by.
Oh, wow.
To escape. And while they were filming it, the driver didn't slow down enough, and Al Pacino broke his foot. And that's why later on in the movie, earlier in the movie, there were scenes that were filmed after he had broken his foot because he couldn't on the cane. Remember there was that cane in the scene, and then so this was the scene where he had broken his foot.
Wow, interesting.
So yeah.
Oh boy.
So
Tessio would have had hell to pay with Sonny if Michael Corleone had not gotten in that car or injured himself.
Yeah. He had a broken jaw and a broken foot too. By the time he arrives in Sicily, he's all like.
And so is the running board that old platform on cars on the side where you would literally run and jump on it and kind of hitch a ride on the outside? Was that the purpose of it?
I don't know. I don't think that was the purpose. I think it was you always see gangsters just standing on the outside of the car shooting. I feel like it was more of just like step in, like SUVs have like a kind of like step to get into it. I feel like it was more like that. I can't imagine they would market a car and say, "Hey, and your friends can hang on to the side of the car."
Well, that's going to be in our Godfather newsletter this week.
But you know what? I'm going to look that up.
Okay, so we asked,
we'll answer. Wow, it's a packed we asked, we'll answer segment this week.
We yeah, that's it. What is a running board?
Running board.
And why is it called a running board?
It's a good question.
Okay.
We'll find out. Next week on The Godfather Minute.
What else you got?
That's, I think, pretty much all I have for this. Also, I actually thought it was polite of Mikey in the book to shoot them before the meal came. Because otherwise it's like a dine and dash situation.
Oh, it's polite of him for the patron or for the
restaurant.
The restaurant owner.
Yeah, because this way the restaurant in the movie, the restaurant is not only is there a mess and a murder, but then they're also out of the veal and the wine, which the whole bottle fell and stuff. So.
Do you think any of the Corleones, maybe through a third party proxy, ended up paying the owner of the restaurant like, "Hey, here's something for your troubles"? Sorry, he couldn't be connected with it, of course.
That's why my hesitation would be if they were to do that, then why would it seems like that would tie them to it. But like you're right, though, through some back channels, you leave like a pile of cash outside the door or whatever.
That actually would make sense because then those witnesses or the waiter would say, "Oh, I don't know who it was." Yeah. It's kind of like it's a threat. Too. Yeah.
So ironically, Louis, the owner of the restaurant, goes to Don Corleone later and says, "I want to find the guys who shot up my restaurant because it hurt my business," and so on. And then
oh my gosh,
it starts all over again.
How would that conversation go? Don Corleone's like, "Well," he's stalling because he's really stumped. He's like, "Well, you gotta first ask for my friendship. Come on, I can't just start giving anyone favors. My meal for a Sanka." Yeah. Your restaurant doesn't serve Sanka. I can't be your friend.
You can only patronize Sanka brand restaurants.
I have a deal with them. Your endorsement. If I give favors to you, what are the Sanka people going to say? That I'm two-timing them.
So, yeah, that's all I have for minute 90.
That's all I have. Are you ready to rate it?
Okay, let's rate this one. Do you have your number?
I was born ready to rate this one.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6?
All right, we'll stick with
Off
5.
the scales.
Yeah.
5 stars. Woo.
This can't. We should have been keeping track of this, but there had to have been other 5-star.
I think we've had some. The Horsehead one was probably a 5-star.
Yeah, and all the
Luca Brasi,
the Johnny
maybe?
scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's been a while. I feel like
That's right. Fredo. Every scene with Fredo in it's getting 5 stars.
every scene with Michael Corleone and it gets 5 stars.
Leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's got to be a 5-star.
5 stars. So this is I guess this is like the end of Act 1 of
Act 1.
And it's funny that minute 90 more or less ended right when, I guess there's a little bit of the newspaper montage at the very last second, but for the most part, it really ends exactly at the end of the scene.
Yeah,
so,
it really does.
Oh yeah, and we didn't even talk about the music chiming in. That's
right.
I was reading a interview with someone about the music.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of scenes in The Godfather where they don't use music until the end of it.
End of a scene.
Yeah, so the end of the scene, as opposed to he was saying that the trend in movies is to have music all throughout a scene, like when he's shooting, have it going da-na-na, music.
Yeah.
And he compared music in movies to steroids. Because he was saying it's like, athletes can use them to bolster their thing. Like a movie can put in music but it's in the long run, it's unhealthy for the, I guess it diminishes the impact, because then if there's music all throughout the thing, then it kind of loses it. It just becomes background.
Yeah. I can see that.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
I feel that way about the Marvel movies. I feel like the music sounds identical in every single one. And it's
a little over the top.
Yeah, it's very, So, anyway. All right, I guess that'll wrap up minute 90.
Yeah, and just looking ahead, are we going to have the same call off this episode?
All right, we got to come up with a
Maybe
new
one more time for McCluskey.
For old time's sake.
We'll
have to come up with a new
Tom, can you get the veal off the hook just for old time's sake?
The veal off the hook. So will it depend on what the next countdown is for? It might.
It will. Yeah.
That might have a.
Well, it's no surprise that our next countdown is about Sonny getting shot on the causeway, because that's what the supporters voted on.
Right.
And that will happen in minute 119. So that's in 29 minutes.
So 29 minutes worth of whatever the Sonny shot on the causeway countdown.
That's right.
I guess we'll just call it the causeway countdown. I guess we'll have to see what I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up so I can get to the bonus content.
Right.
All right, everyone. So thanks for listening to us talk about stuff. If you want to join us in the bonus content, it's godfatherminute.com/support. Just basically $1 a show. You get to listen to us talk more about the Godfather every week, and you get to hear the song. So,
stick around. We're going to reveal the new countdown during the bonus content.
And if you're leaving us now, then be sure to join us on the Fredo Corleone's Mickey Mouse Nightclub on Facebook. Some great memes and stuff going on there. Recently, people started doing Star Wars Godfather mashups, which is an entertaining subject, especially for yours truly. And
I saw that today, and I thought those were really things that you said during Star Wars Minute.
No, those are just they were just mashing up Godfather quotes with Star Wars quotes.
Because someone started the original post saying that some of your Godfather lines are bleeding over into Star Wars Minute.
Yeah, I do frequently use like, the book is different than the movie or stuff like that. I've not said
make Luke an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah,
right.
Did you say Luca an offer he can't refuse?
Like the Ewoks are the hunted ones.
Yeah, there you go. That kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyway. Okay, then we'll be back next week with minute 91. Until then, try the veal. It's the best in the city. We'll miss you, McCluskey.